So, who are the top 10 wrestlers of 1994 in the WWF and WCW? At number 10, Bam Bam Bigelow. So here's the thing, Bam Bam, he kind of started the year off in a crazy feud with Doink the Clown. He would defeat him at WrestleMania in a mixed tag match. It was Bam Bam teamed up with his main squeeze, Luna Vachon, to take on Doink and Dink. However, he won, so it is what it is. But by mid-year, it looked up for Bam Bam because he would join the $1 Million Corporation. Him and IRS would take out the Head Shrinkers at SummerSlam, and then later on in the Survivor Series, they would take on Lex Luger's team of Guts and Glory in a Survivor Series elimination tag match. And the end saw sole survivors Bam Bam Bigelow and King Kong Bundy emerge. So, yeah, not a bad year for old Bammer. Number 9, Vader. So I think Vader's biggest, rival of the year would have been with the Guardian Angel. When Guardian Angel came into the WCW, he was known as the boss. And he tried to enforce, law and order, but Vader wasn't having any of that shit. These guys would fight each other 4 times on pay-per-view, and every single time, Vader would win. He even pulled double duty when he took on Guardian Angel and Sting in a triangle elimination match. Winner would become the number 1 contender for Hogan's world title. And yeah, he defeated both men. So not a bad year. And then he would even add to his impressive resume in the end the year when he defeated Hacksaw Jim Duggan for the U.S. title. So yeah, that's not bad at all. This is actually Vader's second appearance in the top 10. He was 8 last year, so he's dropped a spot, but he's still in the top 10. Number 8, Johnny B. Bad. Johnny B. Bad had a really good year this year. He had some wins over the likes of like Jimmy Garvin and Diamond Dallas Page. However, it got serious when he took on Lord Steven Regal for the TV title. Of course, the first attempt didn't go well because of a controversial finish. However, he would defeat him and win the title at Fall Brawl. And then from there, he had really good successful title defenses against the likes of Honky Tonk Man and Arn Anderson. Number 7, Sags. I'm talking about Jerry Sags of the Nasty Boys. Nasty Boys would come into the year as tag team champions, and they had a huge feud with Cactus Jack and Max Payne. They actually defeated him a couple times, once in a Chicago street fight even. However, when Cactus Jack would get another partner in the form of Kevin Sullivan, that's when things kind of flipped around, and they would actually defeat the Nasty Boys in a Broad Street Bully match. They did have a little help from NHL legend Dave Schultz, but either way, after the Nasty Boys lost, they kind of just went away, went back to Nastyville. However, when this war between the Stud Stable and the Rhodes arose during the Fall Brawl season, Dusty Rhodes went down to Nastyville. I'm guessing it's probably New York City, but either way, went to Nastyville and asked for some help from the Nasties. Of course, what ensued was a huge bar brawl where the Nasty Boys just beat the shit out of a bunch of patrons in Nastyville. And I guess got in the fighting spirit, teamed up with Dusty and his son. And they would go to Fall Brawl, headline the pay-per-view, and win War Games against the Stud Stable. And then the rest of the year, they were pretty dominant. They defeated the team of Bunkhouse Buck and Terry Funk. And then they would also pick up a win over Harlem Heat. At number 6, Knobbs. That's right, Brian Knobbs of the Nasty Boys. You know what? I just told you why Jerry Sags was in there. And so, yeah, that's why Brian Knobbs is also in there. At number 5, Pretty Paul Roma. He would form a tag team with Paul Orndorff, known as Pretty Wonderful. And, yeah, they were undefeated. The tag team, they were undefeated, and Paul Roma was undefeated the entire year of 1994. They would win the tag titles at Bash at the Beach, and then they would feud with Stars and Stripes over the straps. This is actually Paul Roma's 3rd appearance in the top 10. He hasn't been featured since 1990. At number 4, Dustin Rhodes. So this year was all about his war with the stud stable, namely Bunkhouse Buck and Terry Funk. So initially it started with him going after Bunkhouse Buck because Bunkhouse insulted his father. Not just his father, but the family name in general. And so these guys clashed in, a bunkhouse brawl and a bull rope match. However, Terry Funk would get roped into this, no pun intended. Of course, Terry Funk had a legendary feud with, the American Dream as well. And then Arn Anderson would jump in there when he would betray Dustin in a tag match. So Dustin, his father Dusty, and the Nasty Boys would take on the Stud Stable at Fall Brawl in War Games and come out victorious. And then if that just wasn't proof enough, he'd go on the Halloween Havoc and defeat Arn Anderson as well. So great year for Dustin Rhodes. This is actually his third appearance in the top 10 and his first since 1992. So at number 3, Sting. Sting started the year out. He was going after Rick Rude. Rick Rude had a bullseye on his chest because he was the international world champion. He went after him. He actually would win the title. And then when they had a rematch, it's a controversial finish, and the title was eventually held up. But then he would regain it when he defeated Vader to win the vacant strap. And then really Sting and Vader just kind of feuded the rest of the year until the Three Faces of Fear formed, and they started going after Sting. Sting would end the year by defeating Avalanche at Starrcade. This is Sting's 5th appearance in the top 10. He was actually number 1 last year, so good on him. At number 2, Hulk Hogan. So, I think at the beginning of the year, no one would have thought that Hogan was going to come back to wrestling at all. However, when summertime rolled around, he moved to WCW. Another shocking, thing. And at Bash at the Beach, he would take on Nature Boy Ric Flair in what was, clearly a dream match that people had been wanting, for a lifetime. And he would defeat him for the world title. His next match would be against him at a Halloween Havoc, this time inside of a steel cage. And not only was the title on the line, but so was their career. And Hogan would end, temporarily at least, Ric Flair's career. However, after that, we got his first kind of outside of Ric Flair challenger in the form of his best friend, Brutus Beefcake. He was attacked by a masked man, and when he ripped the mask off, my God, it's Brother Brutai. However, he changed his name to the Butcher, and so he would have to face his former best friend in the main event at Starrcade. Hogan, he was undefeated in pay-per-views and showed that, Hulkamania still has some tank in the gas. So, some tank in the gas, some gas in the tank, you know what I mean. Anyways, Hogan actually broke the record. This, for the most appearances in the top 10, this is his 6th appearance in the top 10. And his first since 91, actually. So, very impressive. And finally, number 1, Razor Ramon. The bad guy had an incredible year, a tremendous year. It starts off with, this dispute over, who actually is the Intercontinental Champion. Is it Razor Ramon? Is it Shawn Michaels? Obviously, it was Razor Ramon, but Shawn Michaels laid claim to it and was a thorn in his side, which had to be settled at WrestleMania in a ladder match. It was epic. One of the best matches of the year, and Razor came out on top as the undisputed Intercontinental Champion. He would make it to the finals at the King of the Ring with big wins over Bam Bam Bigelow and IRS. However, the only reason he lost, and keep in mind this was his only pay-per-view loss of the year, was due to some outside interference, and that's why he did not win the King of the Ring. However, you know what? He'd go on to win Survivor Series, being the sole survivor there, and he became the first person in WWF history to win the Intercontinental title 3 times.